You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Well, before we get rolling on this week's episode of the show before the show, Merry Christmas. Lockout's over. We recorded this episode, as you will hear, in the morning of the day on which the Major League lockout ended. So we've got, obviously, a lot of stuff to cover coming up in next week's episode with the lockout being formally done. But we didn't get a chance to do that because we recorded it before the lockout wrapped up. So that's the heads up. And without further ado, the show before the show. This week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. We are into spring training on the minor league side as Cactus League and Grapefruit League camps are open and fully functional with prospects across the board who are less than a month away from opening day across the minor leagues, April 5th / April 8th for AAA and the lower levels. My name is Tyler Mon with Benjamin Hill and Samuel Dykstra in New York City. Guys, what's going on? Sam, I refrain from using the P as your middle initial. You're welcome.
Thank you, I guess. Thank you for addressing me by my actual name. But yeah, things are generally okay. We sit here on Thursday at 12:32 Eastern, 10:32 Denver time, where Tyler is. Eagerly waiting news, like everybody else on the baseball world, on the negotiations for the CBA between Major League Baseball and Major League and the MLBPA. There has been some movement on some things as of today on Thursday. Things might change by the time you guys hear this, but we'll discuss that in a moment. But yeah, kind of on tender hooks, hoping everybody can be in Florida and Arizona soon and getting ready for a full 2022 season.
Now, Sam, what is a tenterhook? I've seen that expression before, but
That seems very New England. Does that have something to do with like seafood?
I don't know. I just made a face.
I thought it's maybe like that's where they hang the big cod from when they bring them in from the Massachusetts coastline there.
It could be. I don't know. I've always just like envisioned it that you're waiting delicately and you're like on the tip of your toes, but like I don't know. I've never actually looked up what does this mean? Where does this come from?
Well, we could Google it, but hit us up, podcast@milb.com, and explain the origins of that phrase.
Let us know.
I'm sure Josh Jackson could.
Yeah, I'm sure he could.
He probably has tenterhooks in his house.
He knows the etymology. Yeah, he's got him hanging in his spare room now in his new house.
It came with the house. Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of waiting on tenterhooks, we're waiting this morning to see what the next NFTs Jeff Passan recommends we all buy are. Poor Jeff Passan from ESPN.com, one of the best baseball insiders out there. His account was hacked today on like the most pivotal day of the baseball offseason, and it's just like a company that's trotting out NFTs. But I just wanted to bring that up to segue to the fact that when I got a chance to cover the MLB All-Star Game here in Denver last year, introduced myself to Jeff Passan just to say how much I loved his work. And I told him, I'm with MLB Pipeline, MILB.com. And he was like, you know what? I honestly probably read those two sites more than anything else in baseball, which I'm sure he says to everybody because he's a very nice guy. But that was really cool. He was like, oh, yeah, I recognize that name. I know you guys. I read all your stuff all the time. Thought that was very cool.
You should have got him saying that into camera.
I know.
You know,
we could have used it as like ransom footage for something.
And then while Jeff was saying nice things, Tyler was peeking over his shoulder and making a note of his Twitter password and using it to sell.
And now today I am selling, I'm cashing in, man, on some Jeff.eth Passan things now. He's the whatever a husband mod is for Skull Tunes NFT. And Jeff Passan
now they got free advertising on this podcast.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna report them as spam. But who knows? We are recording, as Sam noted, on March 10th. There is the potential for a deal today between Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association. We will see. We're not here to break that down because it's stuff that is very delicately being discussed and debated and negotiated between those two sides. But there is a potential. We just bring that up to say, by the time you listen to this, the baseball landscape could be very different. I know there was a report from Tom Verducci earlier today that if a deal comes today, free agency could start later today on the major league side. And there is going to be an insane run on free agents. There's still so much talent left on the big league side, of course, for the major league season in 2022 to get started. So hopefully that'll be coming soon. Hopefully spring training will be opening soon, and we will be very excited for it when it does. So that brings us to our first big topic of this week's episode of the show before the show. And if you want to get in touch, as Ben noted, podcast at MILB.com. We're also on Twitter at Sam Dykstra, MILB, at Ben's Biz, and at Tyler Mon. You can send us your questions, and you may very well have some questions about the first thing that we are going to discuss today, which is the possibility, and now it looks like maybe probability, of an international draft that Major League Baseball wants to implement as a measure in the new collective bargaining agreement. Now, as I understand it from the things that I have read, the framework would need to be agreed upon to start by 2024, I believe, is the first year that could actually be in effect. But Sam, there are a lot of moving pieces with this. The logistics of an international draft are things that I do not even know how to begin to wrap my mind around. Try to explain this to us like I'm a 5-year-old.
Well, there's a lot of things I would have to explain to you.
I was going to say, which shouldn't be very difficult because I feel like that's how people normally need to talk to me anyway.
Yeah. Well, let me just try to explain it in the most basic terms. So as things were filing in about, CBA negotiations and how things were coming together, it seems like one of the late sticking points was the idea that MLB in its negotiations with the MLBPA had said, listen, if you want draft pick compensation to go away from qualifying offer status, we are willing to eliminate that. But in order for that to come in, we want to implement an international draft. Now, currently, players who are 16 years old or older and play outside the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico are free to sign. This year was starting on January 15th. Typically in the past, it's been July 2nd. We'll see how things are going to shake out in many ways there when the international signing period is going to begin again. But right now it's January 15th. If you are 16 years old on that day, you are eligible to sign with any of the 30 MLB clubs. You basically get to choose which team you sign for. Teams are negotiating with players, sometimes years in advance, which, it's unfortunately not a secret that happens, which is a problem that we can talk about here in a second. But, guys get to choose where they sign. They get to negotiate it. There are bonus pools that teams have, so they can't exceed that bonus pool without getting a penalty. But for the most part, you get to negotiate that. Now, an international draft, the way that would work, it would work somewhat similarly to a first-year player draft, and that, each team would get a pick. There would be multiple rounds, but each pick would be capped and how much you could spend on that pick. So there's very little negotiating there, I would think. It's not quite like, I'm getting $4.5 million from the Blue Jays and $4.6 million from the Rays. You only negotiate with the team you're selected with. That would be a change for players. It sounds like, according to the proposal, that as part of the international draft system, there would be more money going to players overall, even under that hard cap. According to the story on MLB.com, a hard slotting system would guarantee more signing bonus money in aggregate to the 600 draft picks than was spent on more than 1,000 international players in the last full signing period prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So there might be more overall money going to players. It does limit them in that way that they can't select it, but it would be similar to the draft we have, like I said before, on the American, Canadian, and Puerto Rican side. There's a lot of ramifications for that. News came out yesterday that David Ortiz was kind of spreading a message that he was hesitant to jump into an international draft. This is something that would have to be implemented down the road. It would have to be something that would be worked out. It sounds like this wouldn't start until 2024. If it were agreed to, the news that came out today is that MLB and MLBPA have agreed in some way to continue to discuss this. The deadline on that would be July 25th. That the international draft would start in 2024. If they can't come to an agreement on that, in the qualifying offer process and tying draft picks to signing a qualifying offer player would resume again. So at least we have an agreement on that. We know what that could potentially look like. You weigh the two sides of this based off what I'm hearing, based off what I'm reading. It sounds like there are good proposals on both sides. It's not great when you limit a player to being only selected by one team or signing with one team. But on the other side of this, it would hopefully, limit some of the corruption that's gone on the international signing market that has kind of marred that process for years and made a little bit of a mockery of the process. Some of these guys, know who they're signing with years in advance, which isn't a great way of doing that system. So we'll see how these two sides are going to negotiate that out before July 25th. But at least now we have something in place. It sounds like, assuming, nothing's official until it's on paper and signed by both parties, but it sounds like both sides have agreed to that part. And we'll still be talking about the potential for an international draft all the way until late July.
I do remember a few years ago, I worked at U15 Baseball World Cup, and I had an international scouting director of a major league franchise say to me about a player, I think we've got him locked up. And the kid was 14 at the time. And that, it really does go to show how much of this stuff happens kind of under the table and below board. And so the hope is that it more strictly codifies the things that are allowed and the things that can happen and should happen. There, like I said, are a lot of things to iron out and work out before this can be implemented and nailed down. But 2024 would be the earliest for that anyway. And so we will see. We'll continue to follow along. Maybe by the time you hear this, the deal is done and we have all the details of that. But not the case as of yet, at least as of recording time. One thing that is the case, though, here in 2022 is that we are less than a month away from minor league baseball opening day. And with that means minor league baseball promos are back for a normal-ish season, much more normal than 2021 as it seems right now. And Benjamin Hill, of course, will be covering all of that as the season gets closer and closer. Ben, let's kick things off. We're going to do this week to week, and we're going to start with AAA and highlighting some of the top promotions on the AAA calendars. Where do we stand in terms of, does everybody have a promo calendar out? What does the last few weeks before opening day look like as far as promo releases go?
They're still coming in. There's still a few teams at AAA and otherwise who don't, but the vast majority of teams have released promo schedules at this point. It's a different era in minor league baseball now. The promo schedules, do get approved by MLB. So I think we're seeing some of the stuff that we might have seen in other years that were maybe a little borderline or a little harder to pull off, and more of an intention to not stepping on any pre-existing brands, marks, properties. I've seen at least 3 office-related promos referred to in some way as that place where you go to work night, that type of thing. I think I saw Ghostbusters night referred to as a paranormal patrol night. People have to get a little. There's a Field of Dreams night. I forget what team it is. I have to look at the spreadsheet. That was just kind of like something like the guys coming in from the corn night or something ridiculous, something ridiculous like that. But it's a tedious task going through all these promo schedules, but it is important for me as I move through the season to know what's happening, and to make a note of the things that I might want to cover in some way. A lot of my favorite promotions are the more off the beaten path, a little bit weird type stuff. A lot of teams doing Copa. Marvel is a huge thing this year, with many teams doing Marvel theme jerseys based around different characters. I have nothing against those nights, but I like to see the things on a promo schedule that speak to that team specifically, that, speak to a little less homogenization and something very unique that is, very unique to them. Anyway, I'm completed AAA, and let's just kind of riff on some that are that we might want to keep an eye out for this season. Feel free to jump in, guys. Buffalo Bisons. Obscure jersey night. I feel like Tyler might be able to rep on this one, where they're just asking fans on April 22nd to wear their most obscure jerseys.
I love it. So that is fantastic.
What immediately goes to your mind?
I've got a few baseball team jerseys from Asia, one from Korea from the Doosan Bears, one from the brothers in Taiwan, the bright yellow jersey. And then I've got a jersey of the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters of Kotaro Kiyomiya, who is like the Japanese high school Babe Ruth. I think he's still only like 21, made it up to the big leagues in NPB 2 years ago, I want to say. But he's a first base prospect / first baseman for them. So I feel like I would have to go with one of those. But if it's just obscure jersey night, not necessarily obscure baseball jersey night, I might break out. I remember when I was in high school, my dad brought me back a hurling jersey from Ireland. Hurling is kind of like field hockey, Sam, right? I believe. So I've got like a hurling.
It's a combination of many things.
It's one of those sports.
Sport on grass.
Yeah,
I can do a whole podcast on hurling.
It's that's going to be our spinoff show. Will be the show before the hurling.
Wait, so what? I'm sorry, I missed the first part. Where's the hurling jersey from?
My dad brought it back from Dublin. I have no idea what team it is. I was like,
you'll have to show it to me later.
I want to say, yeah, I'll show it to you.
I would assume it's Dublin because hurling over there's like club teams, but there's also county teams, and they have what's called the All Ireland, where literally the entire island competes against each other.
That's outstanding
in Gaelic football and hurling, and it's so much fun to watch and play. I highly recommend. Go look up hurling highlights on YouTube. You'll lose an afternoon doing so, but it's tremendous.
That's terrific. So I'd probably do one of those.
So I mentioned obscure jersey night, and now we have Sam going off on soliloquies about hurling. And Sam, no, don't get defensive. It's okay.
No, I was going to say, like, I could go off in another direction because my mind was going to my SC Cambour jersey, which their kit sponsor is a Dijkstra. So
that's cool.
It's a team in Dutch soccer that has Dijkstra on the front, not on the back. So that's probably what I would wear. But go ahead.
That's you would run afoul of Herb Brooks, the of course very famous 1980 U.S. Olympic gold medal hockey head coach, who says the name on the front of the jersey is a hell of a lot more important than the name on the back. But your name is on the front of that jersey, so it's just a way to promote your own selfishness, Sam.
It is spelled the old world way, which is Dijk.
Oh, okay.
But
it's a cool little Dutch spin.
Anyways, we've gone now to Ireland and the Netherlands, and I feel like I'm taking over this podcast.
Ben, what would you wear?
Yeah, Ben, what are you going to do?
That's a good question. I don't really have any obscure jerseys. I just live an obscure life, so it's just kind of by default, just by existing. But thinking of representing the team on the front, not the name on the back, but an occasion to do both, like Sam Dijkstra was just talking about. It does bring me to mind when I visited New Orleans back when they were the Zephyrs a number of years ago. Austin Nola was on the team, and the Zephyrs at that point wore specialty Nola jerseys. And then I did an interview with Austin Nola about wearing Nola jerseys, which was maybe a little bit of a stretch for a feature-length story, but writers got to do. Writers got to do what a writer's got to do. Moving on, this might be another one that Sam might want to have a comment on. At least we'll see. But the Woosocks,
Dutch-Irish relations night.
Yeah.
I throw out the first pitch.
What? This is amazing.
The top of the inning is in Gaelic. The bottom of the inning is in Dutch. It's, anyway, go on.
The Worcester Red Sox, Worcester, June 14th. They're celebrating Worcester's 300th anniversary. So if my math is correct, that town was founded in 1722, the heart of the Commonwealth, the second biggest city in New England, unbeknownst to me until I visited there. But celebrating the 300th anniversary. So I imagine there's lots of nooks and crannies and rabbit holes to go down. And if you know that franchise, having moved from Pawtucket, but that ownership group, Dr. Charles Steinberg, they like to kind of go all out with that sort of thing. And I'll be curious to see what they're celebrating when it comes to 300 years of Worcester.
Yeah, I'm sure. I got to say, like, for all the noise that it made from the move from Pawtucket to Worcester, they have done a really good job of getting the city of Worcester, the region of central Massachusetts, to really, gather around that team and claim it as their own, and celebrate the city that it's in. Because you mentioned it being, the second biggest city in New England, but in many ways, Worcester is in the shadow of Boston, and people just assume, oh, well, you're just going to Boston all the time. It's like, no, Worcester is its own place, and it has its own culture. It has its own way of doing things. And I think celebrating that 300 years is insane. I mean, the reason why it was 300 years and not even older is just because people first settled on the coast, and then they slowly made their way west. And that's when Worcester became incorporated. But fascinating to see just how far back they're going to go. Are they going to do stuff from the 1720s, or is it mostly just going to be like, hey, this is all the things that makes Worcester great now? 300 years is lots of stuff to do with.
Yeah, they'll go all the way back.
Salute to cabbage farms.
Yeah, that's a better idea than mine of dying from tuberculosis. But, Moving on to Omaha.
Scurvy night in Worcester. Maybe they're going to do something with tenterhooks.
Scurvy night. There's no lemons. There's no lemonade. There's nothing. There's no citrus fruit at all in the vicinity.
I'm already liking this segment quite a bit.
There's so many opportunities for tangents. The Omaha Storm Chasers, no strangers to food alternate identities. We've talked about runzas in the past. We've talked about sizzle, steak themed. This year they have a salute to corn night with jerseys, and that's
finally.
Yeah, that's CORN, not new metal related, but corn, just corn. The America's biggest crop, I believe, by a wide margin. So I have not seen those jerseys. I'm not sure if they've been released, but a corn salute to corn in Nebraska, I guess, makes sense. I'll be curious to see in what ways corn is saluted as a new food.
My old alma mater. We do it every day and every night.
I was going to say, yeah, Tyler. Like, how is corn celebrated at the University of Nebraska?
Used to be with successful athletic department, not so much anymore. On the women's side, still not so much on the men's side. I do have one of those hats. It's a giant corn cob, though. I do have one of those. My foster dog tried chewing it up yesterday, and my girlfriend was probably fine with that. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah, sometimes these segues are tough because these topics are so disparate. Disparate. April 15th is Jackie Robinson Day, as you guys all know. The Gwinnett Stripers that day are suiting up as the Atlanta Negro League team, the Atlanta Black Crackers. There was a white professional team in the area at that time called the Crackers. So the Negro League team was the Black Crackers, but they're wearing those jerseys, and that team was around for a lot of years and celebrating that history. So I think that
a very cool ABC logo. Really, really cool.
Yeah, so that's an interesting, jersey, theme night jersey they'll be wearing. Another one on June 4th is, the Gwinnett Stripers playing Gwinnett County, and Gwinnett County, that area of Georgia, is named for Button Gwinnett. And I don't know too much about this guy, but he's a signer of the Constitution, I believe. So they're wearing Button Gwinnett jerseys. I imagine those jerseys will have buttons. But celebrating, that history, Button Gwinnett jerseys on June 4th at Gwinnett. So I think that's another good one to learn about things. And food related, they've got a crawfish boil and a whole hog barbecue on the promo schedule too. So some big food things going on there.
Can I just say real quick about Button Gwinnett? This is in the first paragraph of his Wikipedia page, which, take it for whatever it's worth. It's Wikipedia. Button Gwinnett, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. He was briefly the provisional president of Georgia, and Gwinnett County is named after him, as we know. Another guy killed by a duel.
Wow.
By a rival following a dispute after a failed invasion of East Florida.
Two things. One, imagine trying to invade Florida nowadays. Like, what do you need it for? Two, just kidding, Florida, calm down. Just kidding. Two, we always talk about, the founding fathers, what geniuses. So many of these dudes died in duels. How bright were they? Come on.
Well, if we look at dying as a something that disqualifies one from being considered smart,
I think dying in an extremely preventable way.
It's not like, you idiot, you died in a duel.
It's not like you got tuberculosis. R.I.P. Arthur Morgan. Spoiler alert.
Don't duel, kids. That's
just don't duel, kids. Dueling. There's a reason dueling fell out of fashion. Also,
I wonder if there were 18th century PSAs.
But there was no TV or radio, so it was just a guy running. It was a guy riding around on a horse, like, "Don't duel." Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Well, another great segue. Let's move on to St. Paul, the St. Paul Saints. They have a long history as an independent club before coming to AAA Twins affiliate last year, and known for some pretty crazy promotions. And they're really trying to keep that spirit in the comparatively more buttoned down, speaking of buttons, world of minor league baseball. So just looking at the Saints schedule, it's all over the place. Stuff, the longest Minnesota goodbye of your life on April 28th. And I guess that's a reference to a Minnesota goodbye. I think it's like the opposite of an Irish goodbye where you just kind of sneak out. I think a Minnesota goodbye is
Like you pretend to be
goodbye
nice to
and
everybody.
scowl.
Yeah, you
but
say
you're actually
goodbye
really
and you're
rude.
still talking. But again, I don't know the specifics of a Minnesota goodbye, but they're celebrating that on April 28th. On June 7th, they're playing the Rochester Red Wings, who used to be a Twins affiliate before St. Paul took that affiliation over. And the promotional theme night is just, well, this is awkward. So we'll see what goes on. And then they're doubling down on their Red Wings trolling the next night by staging in like an educational evening around the differences between Rochester, New York and Rochester, Minnesota.
I had a friend who worked at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and told me that it would get so cold there that his trash can would freeze shut, so he couldn't take the trash out. And that seems like a place I never want to see. Anyway,
That's
please
said,
continue.
but Rochester, New York gets pretty cold too. So they
Yeah,
might be
that's
able
true.
to
That's a good
both
point.
Claim frozen trash cans and then both Rochesters. But I'm sure there are differences in these Rochesters. Man, the St. Paul Saints. Well, I'll skip that one. It's too weird.
It's too weird.
Well, no, it's not too weird. It's just so random. There was one night where their promotional description was, "We put the FU in fun."
Excuse me? Excuse me?
I'm just saying that's on the promo schedule.
Huh.
So another night, September 13th, exploring ridiculous laws. I think teams have done variations on that. I know when the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp did their Florida Man promotion, they kind of broke strange Florida laws throughout the evening. So everyone could be, in a sense, a Florida man.
I do remember, like in the early days of the internet, when you get like those fun facts emails from people. I do remember loving reading the absurd laws. I don't know how many of those were ever actually real, but there were laws like, it's illegal to own a duck and a cat in the same house in Arkansas. And it's like, what could this have possibly been about?
Yeah, you can't walk your pet alligator across the street in South
Right,
Carolina.
right.
Yeah. So what should we move on to now? There is so much going on here. Just another random one. Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, they have pork racers, 3 anthropomorphic pieces of meat product that race. I'm trying to remember their names. One's like a piece of bacon with his tongue out and all these weirdos. But there's also a female pork racer named Barbecue. So on Bachelorette night, the other pork racers who are all male pork racers, let's not get into this too much. They're all competing for Barbecue's love.
On what night is this?
This is on August 10th. So if you want to see 3 pork racers compete for the love of Barbecue.
I mean, based off all the Bachelor and Bachelorette tweets I see every week, this seems like the reality TV version of minor league baseball, I guess. There seems to be some sort of appetite for that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and well, I think it speaks to this larger thing that the Iron Pigs never miss an opportunity to make a pig pun. Their Italian Heritage Night is Hogfather Night.
Oh.
Hogfather. Oh, boy.
Problematic.
The Syracuse Mets. Yeah, they're the team that does Your Friend in the Corn Night. That's what it is for Field of Dreams. And Dwyer Brown will be at that. He was in the movie Field of Dreams. He plays, I'm forgetting who he plays.
Ray Kinsella.
Yeah. On Your Friend in the Corn Night. And that's on July 30th. And then on August 12th is the place where you used to go to work night with Stanley from the show The Office, but it's called
You used to go to work.
The place where you used to go to work night. Other teams say it's the place you go to work, but I guess Syracuse Mets are still, being a little safer and working from home whenever possible. So the place where you used to go to work night.
I just want to say that Your Friend in the Corn Night made me think of Children of the Corn and not Field of Dreams.
Yes, I could see that.
It's a very, very different promo.
It is a
Very different night.
Would like to see it. Don't get me wrong. Would like to see it, but it would be a very different experience.
Yeah, the Syracuse Mets also have on August 13th a Phil the Vulture Reagan bobblehead. Is it Reagan or Regan? Long time Mets pitching coach who's still at camp. I interviewed him when he was in St. Lucie about a decade ago, and he had a short stint as sort of an interim Mets major league pitching coach a couple years ago, and he was in his 80s, and now he's in 84, 85 years old.
That's right. I remember that.
So celebrating a true baseball lifer who is still suiting up and going to work every day. That is a big one. Speaking of big ones, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, for my money, probably do one of the best promo schedules in all of minor league baseball. We've had David Ratz, their promotion director, on the show. So a lot of stuff going on there. The frozen pizza Olympics, where they're taking Olympic events and trying to utilize frozen pizzas as the equipment in pretty much any possible Olympic event. Frozen Pizza Olympics. That's on April 8th. I believe this is a promotion that was supposed to happen during the 2020 season, and now it's finally happening for real in 2022. April 19th is Deaf and Blind Awareness Night with a Ray Charles bobblehead. Ray Charles is from that region, and I know that there's a school for the deaf and blind that he attended, and they're getting members of that band to the ballpark, I believe, to play that during that night. But the Ray Charles bobblehead, I'm sure, will be a very big one. Another one they have that I put on Twitter the other day got a good response, and I think maybe the best just standalone theme night in minor league baseball this year, June 24th, Cathartic Scream Night, where prior to singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," they will lead the entire ballpark in a cathartic scream just to get out any and all frustrations.
There is nothing that all of us have needed more over the last 1 or 2 or 5 or 20 years than that. That's a terrific idea.
Yeah, is that on opening day? Can we just make that like every Thursday?
Can that just be a daily thing in the 7th inning stretch?
Isn't this how tradition starts? Is that somebody does it once and it catches on, and then all of a sudden we're always doing it?
That is June 24th, but that is a great one.
Not soon enough.
Not soon enough. Maybe we'll all be feeling great by then. Won't even need it. Maybe. And, I think I can sort of cut it off here because there's just always so many different things to mention. Milo the Bat Dog is going to be in Rochester this year as one of the highlights of their promotional schedule for those who love bat dogs. He will appear on April 12th, on May 21st with a meet and pet and a autographed poster. And then he'll show up again on July 30th. So they're really making, standalone Milo the Bat Dog nights. And they are another team, the place where people go to work night, and not with Stanley, but with Meredith appearing. So, and that is all I've seen thus far in terms of office cast members. It's either Meredith, whose name is, I believe it's Flannery, Kate Flannery.
Yeah.
Kate Flannery, and Stanley, who is David Leslie Baker, I believe.
Yes.
So those are the two still making the minor league baseball rounds on theme nights titled something along the lines of the place where you go to work nights.
Kevin used to do it. We've seen Kevin in minor league ballparks.
I've not seen any Kevin appearances. He might be sitting this one out, or maybe I just haven't come across it yet. I still have more promo schedules to explore, but that was a comparatively in depth, but by no means even close to thorough overview of some of the AAA highlights. And we'll keep doing this over the next couple of weeks, going level by level over the next 3 weeks, AA and high A and low A, all the way down.
Yeah, this was very fun. And I think if there is a theme throughout all of this, minor league clubs, if you want to launder your theme night names, like you can't say The Office, you can't say Field of Dreams, just have us talk about it. Because we're not selling tickets for you. Nobody's going to sue us for saying hey, this is actually an office night.
Yeah, we answer to no one, which is actually the motto of the podcast.
We operate outside the law. Soon we're going to do nothing but talk hurling, as noted. So no rules apply here.
Yeah, all that hurling talk, and me being a man of a certain age, to me that's just a Wayne's World reference. It's not a sport.
If we could manifest this into a hurling pod, I'll make it happen.
So be on the lookout for these segments as we'll go level by level to get you ready for minor league baseball opening day coming up on April 5th in AAA, April 8th everywhere else. And we're going to head to some baseball conversation. Sam, tee it up for us.
Yeah, our own Kelsie Heneghan joins us here in this next segment. She just got off the plane a couple hours ago last night from her trip to Arizona. She saw 4 different camps down there. Obviously, minor league spring training is ongoing right now, as Tyler said at the beginning of this segment. Major league spring training is still waiting on the CBA to be ratified and signed, and those two sides to come to an agreement. That being said, minor leaguers are getting ready for that opening day, which is coming quicker and quicker right around the corner. So Kelsie got to talk to a bunch of top prospects, and now she gets to talk to us right here next.
We all have that dream trip we've been wishing we could go on, but too often life, or usually price, gets in the way. That's why Priceline is here to help you turn your dream trip into reality. With up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights, you can book everything you need for your next adventure. Don't just dream about that next trip. Book it with Priceline. Download the Priceline app or visit Priceline.com and book your next trip today.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Well, our guest on the show before the show this week isn't so much a guest as somebody who we've had on the show before, more of a fourth co-host, I guess, for this segment. It's Kelsie Heneghan of MLB.com and MILB.com, freshly off her trip to Arizona. Kelsie, how are you?
Good. I got sunburned. So what else do you need?
Well, yeah. So you just got back from Arizona last night.
Yeah, I got into Newark at 11 and then made my way back to Manhattan. So I'm fresh off of going to 4 camps in 3 days. So that was a lot of fun and cool to see the variety of how each type of camp does it and which prospects are available and who's pitching that day and things like that.
Yeah. So we should remind everybody, just in case there's any confusion for whatever reason, these are minor league camps. These are not your standard Cactus League camps. There's no like main setup and then the backfields are being used. It's mostly backfield stuff right now, but just take us through the vibe of what that's like, because, you know, we are in the middle of a work stoppage. There aren't 40-man guys at these camps. So it's not the big attention. So you're kind of really behind the scenes here and something that not a lot of fans get to see.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I had never been to a Cactus League game or covered anything from the Cactus League before. So this was kind of all I know and what I have to compare. And a lot of the minor leaguers, that's what it was for them. They are used to being on the backfields. They're used to, like, everything is the same for them, except for they have a little bit run of show. You know, they can go to more parks and more areas because there's no major leaguers taking up space. So it's kind of fun for them, I think. Obviously not the most fun situation in general, but there were some pluses to that. And there were some fans there actually at Royals and Mariners camp that got to get behind the scenes look that maybe they don't get to see as much because there's so much action happening at the big stage.
Yeah. And so take us through the 4 camps that you went to see again. What were those?
So I went to Royals, Mariners, Rangers, and Padres.
Okay. So at Royals camp, you had maybe my favorite update that I've seen from anybody spring training. You talked to Bobby Witt Jr., obviously in the conversation for top overall prospect in the game right now. But what stood out from your conversation with him in terms of like getting ready for 2022 and also what the heck he had on his face?
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about a lot of things. First, we talked about last year, his breakout, how great he did. I asked him about who he thinks is the top prospect in baseball. He said he's not concerned, which isn't that much of a surprise. He's just, focused on getting to the majors. And, obviously a major leaguer is a better title than top prospect. So that's something he's thinking on. And I had to ask him about the home run last year that got called a triple because the umpire ruled he didn't step on home. And he says that he's pretty sure he did. And he has seen the clip since and still thinks that he did. But he said it was pretty cool that Patrick Mahomes, who's a co-owner of the Royals, weighed in on Twitter and got involved. And so that was fun. But then because he's just so well known for all of his tools on the field, I had to ask him what 70 grade tool he has off the field. And the first thing he said was not golf, which is also something that Jack Leiter, who I talked to later at Rangers camp, said. But then he said that he's currently working on growing a mustache. And, I can't judge mustaches, obviously, but he said that it's currently, he grades it at a 20. And he's put 21 years of work into that mustache, he said, and it's still a 20, but he's hopeful that one day it could become a 70. Yeah.
So what? I don't know. I think you can judge mustaches, by the way. To say you can't judge mustaches is slightly off. But anyways, so in terms of like getting ready for the season, you also talked to Jack Leiter, you talked to CJ Abrams. Was there any theme that came up with these top guys? You mentioned they don't really care so much about being top prospects and where they're going to shake out in rankings. A lot of these guys are trying to make the majors. But Jack Leiter, this is his first spring. CJ Abrams coming off injury. There's a lot to talk to these guys about. Was there any theme that came up in your conversations with prospects?
I mean, especially with Jack and CJ in particular, because they didn't really play much. CJ Abrams was limited to 44 games or 40 games last year due to a broken leg. And Jack Leiter getting drafted, then didn't really go into affiliated ball. So I think they both are just ready to show what they can do. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of hype around these guys and Bobby Witt Jr. in particular. And so they're kind of just ready to get out there. I think at Major League camp, people always joke about being in the best shape of your life. And, and being a seasoned major leaguer, it makes sense that you're always comparing last year. You're thinking about this year versus in the minors, you're still proving yourself. So it's interesting to see them, spring training is almost like a mini version of the minor leagues. Like you're developing, you're growing, and you're proving to the big league managers like what you can do.
And in terms of logistics for how things are working right now in spring training, you saw some sim games, saw some guys throwing live BP. What are guys doing right now, or at least what you were allowed to see during media access?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of practice. It took me back to when I played softball in high school, actually. Just, hearing the click clack of the cleats on concrete. And then, everyone's stretching in the morning, and then they separate. The pitchers go one way, the infielders one way, the outfielders another. And they're just doing drills for the most part. At Royals camp, they did it was just the normal hitting balls to the infielders. But when they threw home, there were two buckets stacked together and they had to try to hit the bucket. And it's incredible how many of them missed it, because it's just like, these are professional baseball players. You would think their accuracy, like within 6 inches, is like pretty decent, but they still missed it. Cause it's spring training for everyone. So it's a lot of that, a lot of pitchers fielding practice, PFPs, which is cool to see. At Padres camp, I did get to see a sim game, which was awesome to see just these guys hit off each other. Cause that's something else that they all brought up, was that, it's fun taking batting practice and being on the field again, but it's just not the same as a game and being in game action. And that's something that they're looking forward to about the actual season, but at least a sim game is one step closer to that.
And was there anybody that you got to see in any of these drills who really piqued your interest, or somebody you saw take a really good round of batting practice or throw in a bullpen that kind of caught your eye?
Let's see. CJ Abrams and Robert Hassel III, it was really cool seeing them in the sim game yesterday. And also Alec Jacob of the Padres. He has kind of a sidearm, but almost in between a sidearm and a regular. So that was a really cool style to see. And then just, Bobby Witt Jr., every time when he was doing outfield drills, if the pitching machine or the guy who was hitting it to the outfield, if they accidentally hit one too far, he still would try and get it. And then he's like, okay, one more. So it's fun seeing, these, maybe cliche things, but to be able to actually see it in person, that these athletes really do want to try harder and make sure they finish on a strong note, was cool.
And what do you feel was your biggest takeaway then?
I don't know. I think that this time in baseball has been hard for a lot of people in a lot of different ways, including these professional athletes that are not a part of the larger discussions right now, really, but they're still emotionally invested. They're still, professionally invested. And to see them just still be able to put their head down and to work and to get excited about minor league opening day on April 5th and April 8th for the lower levels was really exciting. And there's still that promise of what spring means, even if there's still a cloud in baseball right now.
And I'll ask this of both you and Tyler, because Tyler has a lot of experience in Arizona spring training. What was your favorite Arizona spring training setup? The Royals was pretty good. It was pretty straightforward, but you could kind of see where all the fields were. There was a straight line between the paths and I saw everything. Mariners, I didn't fully explore, but it's felt more compact. Padres was kind of a mix of that. And Padres and Mariners are in the same area, the same complex in Peoria, and the Rangers and Royals are in the same complex in Surprise. But the Padres one, I liked it, but I got lost twice, actually, to be honest, going through the backfields. And I went around one outfield and I thought I was going to appear by a different field, but it was not the same one. So I guess the Royals. I don't know. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, it's much easier in Florida or in Arizona than Florida, from what I've heard, because pretty much all of the minor league facilities are on the same campus, if you will, as the major league facilities. I think only Oakland and San Francisco are different in that regard. I really like the Guardians / Reds setup out in Goodyear, which is a ways out. It's the farthest one out there from really central Phoenix. But I like that one. I really like the Cubs setup in Mesa, which is, just sprawling and beautiful. And weirdly, I like the Angels setup in Tempe, which I know is kind of one of the older parks. But I like the fact that everything is, you can walk out of a big league game at Tempe Diablo Stadium, and within a 5-minute walk, you're in the center of every single minor league field that they've got. But it's cool. I do love that about Arizona, that everything is so close. It's also, compact and fairly easily navigable. Yeah, some of them can be kind of labyrinthian and easy to get lost in. But that is the cool thing about Arizona. It makes everything so easily accessible. And yeah, it's neat that, we've gotten so many questions in to the podcast or our email inbox over the last few weeks of, hey, if I'm planning on being in Arizona or Florida, do I have the ability to go check out minor league camp and watch minor league games and all of that? Did you get any sense of other facilities that do have that open or will be open at some point over the next, 3 weeks now to fans?
Yeah, so Mariners is open now. I believe the Royals said that they were going to start maybe tomorrow. I can't remember, but definitely check the team pages on that. It seems like more camps are starting to open up to fans. And I think that they were in past years. So you guys would know better than me. It's just that now it's like, this is the only show in town. So they really want you to be able to experience it. And I know the Marlins will be open to fans on Saturday and Sunday in Florida, in Jupiter. So it seems like there's a good variety of places. It's just it's just a fluid situation because of COVID, because of, what's going on in the majors. So, but I would just check the team pages because it seems like more and more they are opening up.
Yeah, and if I could jump in real quick here, this is Ben Hill. Kelsie, I'm sitting next to you.
Hello.
Hi. As you know, we're working on the ballpark guide project, doing ballpark guides for every minor league stadium. Maybe down the line, if the project continues, we move into spring training facilities, hit the Cactus League. I know you're very busy on these trips, but and maybe Tyler can jump in, or Sam, if you guys have been there. I've never been on a baseball trip in Arizona, but are there any, sites, attractions, local restaurants, things that stood out for you during your time there?
I mean, it is pretty cool. As Tyler started talking about, they're very close together. And 30 minutes apart, maybe 40 minutes apart for the entire Cactus League. Like actually on Saturday night, I was able to hang out with a lot of the MLB.com beat reporters who are all there. And everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm a 20-minute drive away from here, like in Phoenix. Like, so everyone is close by. And that's definitely one of the coolest things about Phoenix in general. And the Cactus League, I always thought that would be a good bachelor or bachelorette party, would be to go to spring training in Arizona and just go to games.
You could have a surprise party.
Yes, you could have a surprise party. Go to the Rangers, Mariners, or Rangers. Yes. Let's see. I stayed in Glendale, and it was right by where the Arizona Cardinals play. And there's a big entertainment center called Westgate. And it was shops and restaurants and bars. And that was a pretty cool area to go to. Truthfully, I hit up a lot of chains because I am on the East Coast now and I missed West Coast chains. So I had to go to In-N-Out. I had to go to Del Taco. I even went to Sonic, which I used to have in Missouri. So I did a lot of that, but I'm sure there are more local things that Tyler could speak to.
I'm trying to look up the names of all the places that I love that I have forgotten over the last several years in the Phoenix area. I was a day away from traveling to Phoenix to hit spring training when the pandemic hit in 2020. I think Josh Jackson was going to meet me there as well that year, but just missed out on that experience, unfortunately. So I'm trying to go back and look at the top places. There are extremely good coffee shops and restaurants all over the place. Matt's Big Breakfast, I know, is a really good breakfast spot, obviously, as you would imagine. That has been one of our favorite stops for the few years that we got a chance to go down there, me and Josh. The coffee shop that I am trying to find, there are two of them. There is one, the Coronado, which hopefully is still around, because when I looked it up on Google Maps, it was not popping up for me. Okay, it is. It's still there. There's also an ice cream place there that is obscene, and it is called Novel Ice Cream. Novel Ice Cream, I remember when I went there a few years ago, we had, it was a cinnamon toast crunch ice cream of some kind. And it was like sandwiched between two cookies, and the ice cream was blue for some reason, because it had something to do with Cookie Monster. It was incredible. So that's a great stop. Yeah. I mean, if you're somebody who's, from out East, you can hit In-N-Out, you can hit Whataburger. They've got it's kind of the cone of good fast food burger joints down in Phoenix, but you really can't go wrong. The Mexican food obviously is incredible in Phoenix. Anywhere you stop is going to be amazing. And that's one of my favorite things about going to Arizona, is the fact that the food is just as good and as fun as the baseball. Big fan of that.
Yeah. And if we're throwing out other neighborhoods real quick, one I would say is Old Town in Scottsdale. If you wanted that kind of
very cool
Western feel, it says what it is on the tin. It feels like an old town. It feels like an old Western spot. It's fun to walk around at night or in the middle of the day. Really appreciate that. Also, the area around the Botanical Garden, kind of down there near Arizona State, was one of my favorite spots to go running. If you're into that, you can also go walk around it during the day. I know a lot of people are big into hiking and go towards Camelback. I wasn't able to do that, but it is a really nice place to walk around, especially if you're not from the area and just the thought of the desert is new to you, and you're going to point out every cactus that you see. That's a kind of special place to do it.
There's also only a couple hour drive. Maybe it's like 2.5, but Sedona is close by. Sedona's incredible. Tucson, a former host spot for major league teams for so long for spring training, is not that far away. You can go to Tucson. You can check out the University of Arizona. Arizona State plays their home games in Phoenix Municipal Stadium, which is the former spring training home of the Oakland Athletics, and is a place where the light towers came from the Polo Grounds, which is one of my favorite baseball fun facts ever. There's just so much cool stuff to do in the Phoenix area.
That is pretty cool. And if we do the ballpark guides in Arizona, Will Bohr, of one of our coworkers, MLB Pipeline, he lives in Arizona, so I'm sure he would be an expert in all these things.
Yeah,
and starting next year, you can go catch the Arizona Coyotes, who are going to play their home games in like a coat closet. So that's cool if you're a hockey fan.
Yeah, I did get to visit the Tucson Padres during their brief existence before they moved to El Paso. And I saw a game in Keno Stadium that used to host spring training. And I also visited High Corbett Field in Tucson. And that has a distinction in that portions of Major League were filmed there, including some of the scenes with Charlie Sheen. Is a wild thing. So that's another Arizona baseball destination that just came to my mind. And it's the Cactus League. And so I hope you saw a lot of cacti.
Cacti.
Yes. Yeah. I took a picture of cactus. I
will treasure it forever. I have a single photo of a cactus that I will turn into an NFT. And it'll be on
at Mariners camp, actually. I saw Ichiro that was stretching, and I'm like, that's cool. And I saw a cactus, and so I'm like, that's the highlight of Mariners camp. But no, I've started like doing more TikToks for MLB, and thinking in the mindset of, okay, what is this sound? What can I film to match the sound? So it's been pretty funny, and the picture of a cactus might come up at some point and things like that. But it was a great time, and I'm excited to go to Florida on Saturday to keep it going.
Cacti to grapefruit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Two things I don't want to eat. I accidentally ate a cactus taco at our old office in Chelsea Market, and it was fine, but it was kind of slimy.
Anybody who doesn't like cactus is no pal of mine. That's Spanish for cactus.
Oh yeah, that's
good.
why I ordered cactus, because
No
it was in Spanish. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Kelsie, with all your Arizona stories. And we'll have to have you back to talk about Florida as well.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Eczema is unpredictable, but you can flare less with Ebglyss, a once-monthly treatment for moderate to severe eczema. After an initial 4-month or longer dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you another thrilling edition of Ghosts of the Miners. Now, here's your correspondent and host, Joshua Jackson.
Welcome back to Ghosts of the Miners, in which all of you out there in Radioland must identify the legitimate historical ball club hiding amidst the fraudulent pair. One was so real you could taste it. The others are only hot air. In the last segment, I asked you which of the following minor league baseball teams did at one point exist. A, the Palm Desert Dates. B, the Burlington Beet Pickers. C, the Hammond Berries. For a good breakfast, choose ham and eggs. But for a historical miners team, pick the Hammond Berries. C. Growing in the biggest burg of Louisiana's Tangipahoa Parish, the Hammond Berries sweetened up the Evangeline League from 1946 to 1951. At one time, Hammond was considered the strawberry capital of America, and the Sporting News once proclaimed, many of the fans who support the team are farmers who produce the luscious berries. Throughout Hammond's inaugural campaign of 46, however, as the Evangeline League enjoyed the fruits of freedom in returning to baseball after the war, the Berries were buried, 44 and 87. But after an 8th place debut, the Hammond Club had ripened into a winner, and the Berries seeded not 1 inch all year long in 47, winning their first of 3 championships during their 6 seasons in the sun. 2 of the 3 pieces of Hammond's hardware were won under the leadership of pitcher, outfielder, infielder Paul Bruno, who midway through 47 was described in the national press as the Berries' answer to Bob Feller, Babe Ruth, and Lou Gehrig. Bruno reportedly had a habit of moving from first base onto the mound to get key strikeouts whenever the Berries were in a jam. Although they smushed into the playoffs in 4th place, they eliminated the first place Alexandria Aces, then swept the Thibodeau Giants, winning Game 4 11-1, with the 33-year-old Bruno logging the clinching victory himself. The Berries had a chance to wind up as the league's topping again had not foul weather flooded the fields to end the 48 playoffs after they finished the regular season in 2nd. They kept the good taste fresh in fans' mouths with another title under Bruno in 49. But the old skipper had knee troubles through the season, and Feller Ruth Gehrig his way into a mere 58 games that year. In 1950, Bruno was replaced by former Phillies catcher Joe Cratcher, who in turn mid-season was replaced by some other Joe Powers, a pitcher who managed the Berries to a final piece of the pie in 51. But somehow, the Berries' flavor had faded for fans. In March 1952, the Greenville Delta Democrat-Times reported that despite the club's winning ways, attendance had ebbed the previous year, and Hammond was bowing out of the Evangeline League. And that's how the Berries buckled. Now, on to the question for next time. Which of these quick-footed fleets tried to get into the race in the minors of yesteryear? A, the Huntington Hot Hoofs. B, the Jonesboro Zebras. C, the Prairie Creek Pronghorns. Want to know the answer? Get running. Or tune into the next Ghosts of the Miners. But for now, you'll have to excuse me. My producer Ben Hill couldn't get tickets to see Miles Davis, and he's kind of blue.
Thanks to Josh Jackson for swinging by in this week's episode of Ghosts of the Miners. That dude does so much work on Ghosts of the Miners. Like, Ghosts of the Miners is so well researched and done. And every week we're very fortunate to have Josh along for that. So big thanks to Josh doing it for
I gotta say, also Josh broke the Encanto rule. I don't know if you guys saw the script. He talked about Bruno.
That's what that's about.
Bruno. Yeah,
I had no idea what that was in reference to.
No idea what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm going to join
not a
Tyler
clue.
in not getting the reference.
Not a clue. And I said, yeah, like I knew what you were going to say. And then
know.
I was like, oh, this is not at all what I thought. No, but I've seen that on Twitter so much in recent weeks. And it's like one of those, you log in sometimes in Twitter and everybody's in on a new joke and you're like, I don't know. And I'm not going to look it up. So that's what that was.
I was going to say, do you
From
want me
Encanto?
to sit down, you two old people, and explain to you the joke, or do you want to just go on?
Wow. A slightly younger millennial is dunking on the two of us millennials.
Hey, I would consider myself, I'm actually Gen X.
Are you a Gen Xer?
Yeah.
Okay. The poor man's boomers. Just
Poor man's boomers.
Just kidding.
Well,
Jeez.
completely absent from the cultural conversation, which just feeds into the how we felt our whole lives. A little neglected, children of neglect and divorce, and everyone else had something better to do.
In Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
Crazy. Also, I want to point out,
What is this energy we're ending the show on this week? Jeez.
I want to point out, Ben went a long time without a haircut. He got a haircut. His hair is already immaculately long again. How does
I can't believe it.
I
look
have
in the mirror,
no
and like
good hair. Your hair is incredible. Look at this. You got a haircut like 2 months ago. It's already like it's feathered. It's got layers. I don't know. These are things I hear my girlfriend say. I don't know what that means, but it's magnificent.
No, thank you. I appreciate that, Tyler. Yeah, it's been more than 2 months, but because I get so few haircuts, I still have it in my mind that I, quote, just got a haircut. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, maybe I didn't just get a haircut.
I just got a haircut. Oh, wait, that was August. When was that?
Exactly.
Do you remember when it was?
Yeah, I think it was even, no, when what? Yeah, I don't remember.
It was a while ago, though.
It was a long
wasn't
time
like
ago.
Christmas time. And I'm like, how does Ben's hair grow this fast? It wasn't.
It was after Christmas. I can't remember when it was, but when I go a long time without getting a haircut, then I'm way too precious and overthink getting a haircut. And I feel weirdly self-conscious about walking into a barbershop with long hair. Is it their job? Isn't the cut hair that grows too long? And there's a barbershop in my neighborhood that I'd never gone to. And I would like scope it out, and it didn't seem very, crowded usually. And especially because, this is also in the pandemic. And I was just kind of like skulking around the perimeter day after day, just being like, should I get a haircut? And then I walked in and this woman, it was just one woman was in there, and she was like, I keep seeing you look in the window. And I was like, yeah, I guess I need to be a little more subtle in my haircut scouting operations. But it was a great haircut, and I'm going to go back to that business next time I get a haircut. And I'm going to get a haircut before minor league baseball opening day. I'm going to shave. It's going to be good.
Be a fresh start for all of us.
Yeah. I avoid getting haircuts for the other reason, which is that I don't want them commenting on how much my hair is thinning. I don't want that. That's the opposite of that.
Yeah, well, you need to stop going to insult barbers.
I just go to a barber where it's a roast when I walk inside. They're like, look at this fat loser. Aw, that's mean-spirited. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap up this week's episode of Fun Edition of the Show Before the Show. Get in touch if you've got questions about the start of this minor league baseball season here in 2022. Podcast at MILB.com. Sam, Ben, and I are on Twitter at Sam Dykstra, MILB, at Ben's Biz, and at Tyler Mon. And if you've got a Ghost of the Minor suggestion, you can get in touch with Josh Jackson as well. He's at Josh Jackson, MILB. And that'll do it. For Sam and Ben, I'm Tyler. We'll talk to you next week.